Hello. It's on now. That's a great reminder. If you don't mind silencing your phones, thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Jen Denninger, and I'm the Assistant Town Attorney for Greensboro. You might know Lindsay Ryan. She's the, we'll call it grown-up town attorney. I'm a brand new associate with Lindsay. And with me tonight is Ginny Schoonover. She is going to be the timer, so she's really in charge of the evening. I'm just here to help facilitate. The timer is so that all of our candidates and all of our great questions have a chance to be heard and answered. So we're going to do our very best to stick to our time frames tonight. This evening's meet and greet is a chance for you all to ask questions of these folks who would like to represent you and to serve as your representatives on the town council. So thank you for being here. We have a basket full of questions. There are a lot of questions in there, so we're going to do our best to get through all of them. Probably you have either submitted a question or you're just going to wait to hear what your friends and neighbors have to ask, but you can submit 2 3x5 cards and those can go in the basket here. If there are bad words on your questions, I'm not going to read the bad words. I'm not going to censor you in the sense that I'm going to not read your question. I'm just going to skip over your bad words, so say the bad words. Each candidate, when we start, will have 5 minutes to provide an opening statement. I'm going to start with number 1 here, and we'll move on down the line. At the end of the night, they'll have 3 minutes for a closing statement, and I'll start with number 4 here and move on back to number 1. If there is a general question, we're going to take turns rotating who gets to go first. Oh, I'm done. If there's a general question, we're going to start with a different person each time so that everyone gets a chance to kind of be the first one to talk about it. And the candidates will have 90 seconds to respond to each question. If you have a question for a specific candidate and I'm reading it and I say, Pete, this question's for you. Pete will have a chance to respond and then everyone else will have a chance to respond as well. So the goal tonight is to get as much feedback from your candidates as possible. To allow for everyone to be able to hear the candidates and for the candidates to share their responses, please again try to silence your phone, try to keep chatting to a minimum while the candidates are answering the questions. They want to hear from you. They are here to ask for your vote to represent you at the town council, so they want to know what you're interested in. And then this evening when we finish at 8:15 with our Q&A, there's going to be a half an hour open networking session, and at 8:45 we'll hear our closing statements from our candidates. I want to make sure I introduce our candidates properly. The candidate all the way on the end is William Schaffner, and then we have Kim Ernest, and then Paula Turner, and then Pete Brillia. Did I say it right? And Pete Brillia. So those are your candidates. Is there anything else you want me to cover? Okay. Well, I'm going to get started with our questions, and I'm already going off script here. Yes, we're going to get started with our opening statements. Thank you. So many papers, I've lost track. So, should I call you William or Bill? Bill, okay. Oh, that's right, Bill. That's great. Okay, so Bill's gonna start, and Bill, you have 5 minutes, and Ginny here's running the timer, and I would not cross her.
All right, thank you. First of all, thank you all for coming out tonight. I've attended appreciative when people show up to these type of events to find out a little bit more about what's going on and what our role as candidates will be if we're elected to be a commissioner, but also what your role will be as residents of the town. So I wrote just a very short statement. When I'm elected, my plans to support both the citizens of our town as well as the administrator of our town. That support will consist of being a good listener and applying common sense and informed knowledge to the issues that present themselves. I don't claim to have answers for everything. Maybe even a lot of the questions in that basket I may not have answers to now because the information I'm just not used to looking at and having available to me. I can assure you, if I do get elected and those are the issues that we have to deal with, I will know about. That's my promise to you. I do hope to be able to play a role in restoring confidence, integrity, and honesty to our town government. I promise that I'll study and learn from the documentation that we're provided. In addition, to seek additional knowledge on a particular subject when that's possible. I do hold myself to a high standard of honesty and integrity and a very strong work ethic. And those of you that have known me for any length of time should know that and have seen that. And as such, I expect that from both the town officials and citizens of Greensboro. Thank you. I'm sorry. Because it's not just the commissioner's job or the mayor's job, it's the town. And we're all part of that town, and together, when we work together and communicate honestly and directly with one another, we can do a lot of neat things and things that make our town better, and that's my goal. And I'll strive to do that, and I'll strive to be as open and honest with you in everything that I do and say. And that's my pledge to you.
Good evening, fellow residents. It has been a pleasure to get to know some of you through meetings, park meetings, and social media. I am excited to learn more about each of you. My commitment to our town has led me to run for commissioner, and I am hopeful for the opportunity to serve you. I have absorbed a significant amount of information during my involvement, which has also provided me with extensive insight as to the changes that our town can benefit from, which starts with the leadership. I am an initiative taker who is not afraid to implement change resulting in improvement. This is evidenced by my creation of the YouTube channel, whereas all town residents can watch unedited town meeting recordings based on individual availability. In addition, the creation of the Facebook group Truth Social Town of Greensboro, Maryland, whereas a wealth of information is contained as a one-stop shop through albums, files, and posts. You may remember that many of you forwarded me your water and sewer bills for research I compile to verify accuracy and to conduct usage research. As of next month, I will have been a Greensboro resident for 8 years. As a fellow resident, my decisions made by our local government impact my family as well as yours. Some immediate deficits I noticed were lack of communication, transparency, accountability, and knowledge. I am coming to you with 30 years of financial experience. I am remarkably familiar with financial reporting, inclusive of budgets. I will not sit here today and promise you perfection. What I promise you is to do my best to hear you out, to respect your perspective, and to assist you in making decisions for the future of all town residents, which will be mutually beneficial for the local government entity we are and the taxpayers collectively. We are all equal as we are all taxpayers. I want to hear what you have to say. I want to unite our residents so that Greensboro can more closely resemble the town some of you grew up in, and for the rest of us, what we thought we were getting when we moved here. I will do my absolute best to answer all of your questions this evening to the best of my truthful ability. I am not a person who claims to know it all, but I am a person willing to learn whereas I may be deficient. Before deciding or standing behind a statement that I am not confident in. Thank you for taking the time to come out this evening or watching the video later to show your support. Asking the important questions and taking interest in our town.
Hello everyone, my name is Paula Turner. I'm truly humbled to be sitting here in front of you as a candidate for town council. First, I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself. I've been a licensed life and health insurance agent for a local company going on 6 years, specializing in Medicare supplemental and individual insurance. I have many years of banking and investment experience on my resume, and I volunteered a very long time for a nonprofit organization that implements Robert's Rules of Order. As the first of my family able to buy a home 9 years ago, Greensboro chose me, I feel. I was not sold on Greensboro at first. I came from another small town, Galena, where everyone knows everyone's business. However, Greensboro fit into my budget, and everyone I asked had very nice things to say about the town, the residents, and the businesses within. Unfortunately, we have seen our town go through a lot in recent years. Challenges that come from mismanagement and decisions that have left many of us feeling overlooked and frustrated. We've seen resources misallocated, promises broken, and opportunities wasted. While we can't change the past, we can learn from it and move forward in a more positive direction. I believe we deserve leadership and representation where there is accountability, transparency, and commitment to restore trust where it has been lost. Some time ago at a park meeting that Kim referred to, I asked the participants to send me what the important issues were to them. And this is in order. Number one, full transparency from town hall, the mayor, and the council members, no matter how big or small the situation may be. 2, budget. The budget is a concern. Budget-friendly salaries for our town employees. It's frustrating to see people in power or on public payrolls thriving while regular people are scraping by. Number 3, taxes. Just no more. Water, the cost and lack of quality regarding fluoride and the chlorine content. Our wastewater management treatment plant, the cost that the residents have had to absorb from decisions made by previous council without thought of the future. Unkept properties. None of us want to live next door to a messy property. If the property owner does not have the means, how can we help them? If the town uses its resources, maybe the tenant or the owner could volunteer their time to the town during annual events or give some type of community service. And last, the impact that Kennedy Meadows is going to have on our schools, our streets, our water and sewer infrastructure. I'm not here to point fingers or dwell on the past. I'm here to focus on how we can make real lasting change for the residents of today and for generations to come. My decision to run for council was not made lightly. I have a full life, very blessed life, that includes 2 grown daughters, their husbands, plus now 4 of the cutest, smartest, and the sweetest grandchildren. I have my home, my career, friends, and my sweet little puppy Benny. All that I do is with them in mind, hoping and praying that changes made today will make this world a better place for them. I fully understand the time and commitment this opportunity will entail, and if elected, I pledge to you my loyalty and undivided attention to the issues that matter most to you. Thank you for being here this evening, and together, I hope that we can start working on building a better Greensboro together.
Can you hear me okay? Okay, my name is Pete Brilliant. I'm currently on the town council and serve as a commissioner. I did a 2-year term, and I'd like to be re-elected for the 4-year term. I've lived in Greensboro since 1979. I raised my daughter here, my wife and I did. I own a home here. My daughter's bought a home here, chooses to make Greensboro her home. I've worked for the town in the past. In the early mid-80s, 90s, I was in the police department, served as chief for a period of time. But most of my life has been basically serving others. I mean, my first job, official job where I had to pay taxes was a busboy waiter at the Riverside Hotel on North Main Street in Greensboro. Worked in the emergency room for 3 years out of high school. Then worked for the police department, did that for 14 years. Then jumped over and worked for the county as initially an EMT for a year, then became a paramedic, and just recently retired as an EMS lieutenant. It's always been service dollars. I like the town of Greensboro. It's where I chose to live. It's where I chose to raise my family. The town has a lot of potential. The town has a lot of problems. The water issue is one of my big issues because our water currently has fluoride in it, but it's natural fluoride. It's nothing we add. The only thing we add to our water is chlorine. And I know that within the next 3 to 5 years, with the new government regulations, that we're gonna have to do something about that, and that's gonna be a costly event. So I personally would like to stay on the board. I would like to work on getting grants and other things to improve our water system. We're gonna basically have to do a reverse osmosis or something to filter the water just to make it meet all the current standards. But I also think that transparency has been a big issue. It's been a target for the last 2 years while I've been on the council. The council recently made some personnel changes, some infrastructure changes within the office. And I think that's helped greatly. We have moved our public comment section to the beginning of our meetings because now all the data that we discuss or all the legislature that we have to decide on is released to us 4 days earlier. And it is also released to every one of you on the website. So you have an opportunity to review it just like we do. And then when we set into the meetings, we allow public comment prior to any of our discussions on any of this legislature events so that we get your input while we're making our decisions that affect everybody, including me. So I want to thank you all for coming and listening. I look forward to hearing some of your questions and some of your concerns. We'll see where things go, but thank you.
Great, thank you very much, everyone. This is an awesome pile of questions. I am just swirling my hand around and picking random questions, so. And just as a reminder, we're gonna start with Bill, unless the question's directed to a specific person. In which case I won't let you know who it's directed to. We're gonna start with Bill and everyone will get 90 seconds to respond. If your response involves naming another candidate who's on this panel with you, that candidate will also have a chance to respond, just so that you know. Okay. The question is, now that we finally have a town manager that is finding past problems and relaying these problems to council that they never knew anything about, so it can be taken care of, what exactly do you think you can do differently than the current council or those running against you? And I can repeat if it gets down to the end of the line in the questions.
I think the big issue that we need to focus on and pay attention to that maybe has slipped by us a little bit in the past is oversight. We've got an excellent town manager. I constantly get impressed by what she's seeing, finding, and doing, and the amount of work that she's putting into the job. Appreciate that. As a resident, I've been here over 40 years, and to be honest with you, it's the first time I've really seen that type of attention to detail being paid. But I don't think that leaves the commissioners off the hook. We have to do the oversight of the town manager, of one another, and to be understanding and ask the right questions when things are presented that we don't understand and we don't see the sense of. And we should ask questions and continue to ask questions till we get common sense, logical answers to those questions. So oversight would be one of those things I believe I can bring, as well as solid leadership. I've been heavily involved in finance in most of my work career also, so budget's one of those things that's important to me. And I think that we need to pay attention.
I would like to think that I agree. Cindy is doing a phenomenal job. And I've had the opportunity, fortunately, to speak with her on quite a few occasions. And I know that she has been very diligent about going through the previous town manager's emails. And I'm sure she has gotten a lot of the concerns that she's addressed probably through there. Maybe even the YouTube channel of watching old videos. But I think she is also one person. And we are a panel of 4 and then 5 with the mayor. So I would like to personally focus more on being engaged with the community. I'm very engaged with it now through social media, but I would like to be more of an in-person figure with everybody and give everybody an opportunity to discuss things, maybe even after meetings they don't feel comfortable discussing in public. I just feel like it's just forging relationships, and right now that lacks. And I feel like we could create some more community events to help foster that.
Thank you. It reset it last time. All right.
Okay, so I think I remember the question. Just kidding. I've had a full day already. You know what? Kim and Bill both had awesome answers, and that's what it is. We need to look at each other as a team. Making sure that we don't keep revisiting old problems. When we find the problem, we fix the problem, we kind of stay ahead of it, we stay alert to what's going on in our town, in our county, and even state level, so that when things start to trickle across the bridge, we're ready. We are prepared for what's coming. We weren't quite ready for those solar panels, but we're doing what we can. The merry-go-round of, didn't we discuss this last time? Didn't we have this issue 2 or 3 years ago? Let's fix it, be done, and move on. I don't want my grandchildren, if they choose to move to Greensboro, to keep hashing the same problems over and over again.
Yeah.
So somebody who's on the current council, the last 2 years, prior to the recent personnel changes, there was a lot of confusion. There was a lot of kicking the can down the road. Some of it was our fault. Some of it was the fact that we weren't given the information in a timely manner to make a decision. So we had to kick the can so that we could be more informed. With the recent personnel changes, as I stated earlier in my opening, we're getting the data ahead of time. We're able to read it, get informed, ask questions, so that as the legislative body, that form of government, when the meetings actually occur, we actually make decisions, pass ordinances and resolutions, and actually get business done. And I think that's very important. But there are issues. There's always going to be some type of issue, whether it be personnel or equipment or legislature or something. There's always going to be a problem that we have to deal with. That's a given thing. But I think the town has taken steps in the recent past to resolve a lot of those issues. And I think when this election is over and we're able to get back to work and be productive again, I think we'll continue to make positive strides.
Thanks, everyone. The next question is, if elected, how do you feel the town and the county could improve to work together? And we'll start with Kim first.
I haven't really thought that far ahead about the county. I have been involved, went and met with Sheriff Baker to find out how the policing specifically works in regard to, in conjunction with our local police department. As far as the different county responsibilities. I'm not really clear on all of that. I don't have a good grasp on that yet. But I can guarantee you I will learn and will get out there. I will ask the questions like I did with the police department. I wanted to make sure it was feasible for us to have our own police department and not just rely on the county. Everybody does a phenomenal job. I know the county steps in as far as policing when we need their assistance, which is excellent. But it's also great to have our own police department and having the familiar faces and the reliability of having them here. So for now, that's about as much about the county involvement as I have for you.
Oh, that's a question for everyone, so you can all, we'll continue down the line. Thank you.
Sure. I was with Kim at the meeting that we had with Sheriff Baker. We actually have also gone to a county commissioners meeting and saw how that ran. And we were kind of blown away at the structure and organization. And it was, you know, something that I would continue to do. If I want to know what's going on in the county, you have to go to where the information is. I work local, of course I live in town, so hitting other meetings to continue to educate myself is not a problem. I wish I knew about the solar panels. I wish I knew that that's what was going on. I was also one of the people that opposed Halo. And I went to court and I spoke in front of the judge, me and 2 other citizens here. Unfortunately, we were too little too late. But again, hopefully one of those things we can change and not have to worry about it down the road.
As somebody who's currently on the town council, I think we have a good working relationship with the county. Leslie Grundon and them, they deal with us for our water and sewer, they help us get grants. Donnie Baker, the sheriff, he's come in and we've discussed things with him. We don't always agree with him, but we've discussed things with him and we have working understandings. The commissioners have always been supportive in our endeavors. So I really don't see an issue with the county. I see where we can always foster and grow to work better together. They have funding resources we don't, and we have things that they don't. So, but I know that their Parks and Rec people help us with our parks, getting grants, fostering things along. I know we have the Jesse Sutton Park where they're going to do the special needs portion for that, and that was all assisted through the county with some grant funding. So I think we have a good working relationship with the county. It can always improve, but I don't see any major issues. They support our planning and zoning, we support them, so I don't think the county is an issue. I think as a whole, the only issue we would really have is sometimes we don't necessarily share information fast enough. Sometimes their meetings on Tuesdays, ours is on Thursdays, and we don't get some of the feedback as soon as we should. But for the most part, I'm impressed by the way we work with the county and look forward to still working with them.
Great, thank you very much. This question is again during, oh, I'm sorry, Bill. Sorry, Bill. Sorry, Bill.
Can you repeat the question?
Yes, I can.
Just check.
If elected, how do you feel the town and the county could improve to work together?
I think it would be helpful if we could figure out how to have meeting with the county, but not just one town at a time, but we had an event a week or so ago, right next door at the church, and all the towns got together to talk. Town management and leadership was there, and I found that incredibly helpful. We got a chance to ask questions, they had a chance to tell us about their towns. I think it would be nice if on a quarterly basis, or even if we had to start with semi-annual basis, to have meeting with the county, with all the towns together in the same room, just to air out issues, concerns, projects that we're thinking of, coming up with, projects that the county's coming up with. I was really grateful to see that we have one county commissioner that joined us tonight. Thank you, Larry, for coming. And one prospective county commissioner that chose to come here tonight, Mike Mann. Appreciate you doing that, taking the time. But I do think that more networking would be beneficial to us as a small town to see a bigger picture from time to time.
Thanks, sorry about that, Bill. This question is for everyone, and we will start with Paula this time. The question is, what are you going to do to control spending and hopefully lower taxes? For example, this person says, I pay for 12,000 gallons of water, I only use 8,000 gallons. The question is, what are you going to do to control spending and hopefully lower taxes? And then the water use was an example.
If I had the answer to that, I wouldn't be sitting up here. I'd probably be on holiday somewhere. Unfortunately, that's not a quick fix. You can't just go in and change it. There has to be, and it has been, studied and information gathered and looked at. I would definitely ask the question so that I understood what I was going to be voting on, not, well, I thought it was this and now it's that. I would ask the questions. I would be that obnoxious toddler, why? A lot of times, I understand that in our small town here, things trickle down to us. And our town has done really well. And next month will be 9 years I've been here. I've not seen any increase in my property tax. It's the county that gets me. And I think everybody in Maryland got it last year. I appealed it. I went to the courthouse and they said I had a patio off the back of my house, and I don't. I took a picture of all sides of my house that morning, and I said, show me where the patio is. So for almost 9 years, I was paying for a structure I didn't have.
Okay, so taxes are always a sore subject. But Greensboro hasn't raised their taxes in a long time, at least when I've been on the council. So I'm pretty proud of that. Water and sewer is a whole other beast. Water and sewer has to be self-sufficient, which means you have to figure out a minimum that you have to collect from everybody that's on the system to be able to maintain that said system. And you also have to be able to put away about 1% to 1.5%, which is really a low number, to allow for infrastructure failure, pumps going out, other things that occur, because the system has to be self-sufficient. So she made reference to, in the question, to 8,000 gallons and 12,000. I use between 3,800 and 4,100 gallons, and I'm paying the same money you are. My daughter uses a lot less than me and is paying the same money. Unfortunately, it's the nature of the beast. The system has to survive. It's the only way we can maintain it. And we've done studies, we've had public hearings, we've done a lot of things to try to get as much information as we can to make the system user-friendly. And I think the system we have right now is, of the options, was the best. That doesn't mean it can't be revisited, and that doesn't mean as things progress, we can't reassess things. But the numbers that we're paying now were the best at the time.
Water and sewer is always a topic. I don't know that I've been to a town meeting in a lot of years, but it hasn't been for one reason or another. I paid 12,000 gallons too. And if I was running for a federal office, I would be able to just tell you, I'm going to cut all of your taxes in your water bill. I wouldn't be held accountable to that, and I probably could get elected, but this is a small town of Greensboro, and I don't know how to cut the taxes, and I don't know how to cut the water bill. what I would like to do is see if we could put together as a town, a short 3 to 5 page white paper on how the rate, not just in a town meeting, but actually sitting there where people can be handed, they can sit and read it if they choose, on how that water bill is constructed, how it's calculated, what contingencies is that covering, what contingencies is it not covering. A document that we could easily hand out to people and say, here's information to help you understand why you're getting billed the type of water bill you are. Does that require work? Yes, but I don't think anybody up here has considered that this is not going to be a working job. It is a working job. I've seen the commissioners do a lot of work, but I think putting a white paper together would be a plan that we ought to be able to accomplish.
Again, not a quick fix. I've done a lot of research on this so far. In a perfect world, I would like to see everybody charged based on their usage. Whether that will net the town enough money for the infrastructure repairs is yet to be seen. I had some data. I don't have all the data. I know we currently have no reserve. After the ARPA funds were exhausted, that was the end of any kind of extra funds we had for the infrastructure. So we're definitely going to have to build that reserve back up. Whether we can make a change now, I don't know. Like I said, I'd have to dig deeper into it than I already have. I think, sadly, my gut instinct is that the multi-dwelling units that were paying a flat rate were probably significantly overbilled, just based on my preliminary research. Which, if that's corrected by everybody having individual meters, it's going to put us in an even worse position than we were in. I'm still waiting on that information to come to me to verify. As far as the taxes go,
Thank you. This next question is again for everyone, so we will start with Pete. The question is, how do you see the future of the food pantry?
Well, I was a big proponent of the food pantry. I actually liked our food pantry and was proud of our food pantry. I wanted to see our food pantry get bigger. I was one of the guys that wanted to move it down to the police department and make it bigger. And we would be able to put the clothing in there and have the clothing drive and other things, but we needed to repurpose the space. Our food pantry wasn't technically ours, it was part of Aaron's place. We were just a subsidiary, but I think we managed it well, very well, if not better than Aaron's place itself. It was clean, they always had plenty of food, a lot of support, and it just kept growing. Since we have not been running the food pantry, and Aaron's place has taken it over, I've seen the food pantry get smaller. The participants have gotten larger, but I see the food pantry itself has gotten a lot smaller. The quality of the product there isn't as great. So I was really disappointed when the town kind of fell out of that, but I understand why we did it the time we did. It's just something we had to do, we just didn't have the resources. But I'm a big advocate of the food pantry.
This is going.
We're just passing the bill and then, in my brain, there's a loop, but I didn't share that with you, so.
There are a lot of food pantries, around the county, and they're needed. I'm glad we have one in Greensboro. One of the problems with having just one big food pantry in 2 or 3 locations throughout the county is the same problem we've always had. People need transportation to get to those food pantries, and they don't have that. If they did, it's a good chance they might not even be going to a food pantry to begin with. So I support food pantries. I would like to see us reach out strongly. Churches and groups like that used to take care of the poor in towns. And I believe they can do that again, and I would really like to see us reach out to the churches. We have a number of them here in town, and they ought to be able to reach out, they ought to be able to help with that food pantry. And some of the churches have food pantries themselves also, right here in town. So can we consolidate those? Should we consolidate those? I'm not quite sure about that, but I do know that more hands in the pot for that would be more helpful to us to be able to do better, to build it up, not let it shrink, and make it more available to people to use and get the services of the food they need. Nobody should have to go hungry in the United States of America. That shouldn't be happening, and it is all across the country, not just in Greensboro. But we need to do better, and I think we ought to involve other groups in that, and we can do better.
It's my understanding that the food pantry for Greensboro was displaced by a lack of space. So I know Greater Impact was willing to partner to assist with the issue of space with Greensboro. That would have been an option as well. Also, social media can be a blessing and a curse. There are meal trains that families could sign up for, and people could sign up to assist until we have sustaining food pantry. Or we also have blessing boxes, and perhaps we could expand on the blessing boxes. Now, I know there comes an issue with people coming in and clearing it out, one family, and not leaving anything for others. So it would probably have to be at least video monitored to some degree, but it could be an option.
As a kid of food pantries, being taken to food pantries with my parents, and the big blocks of state cheese and the great big tubs of peanut butter, I too am a huge advocate for our food pantry. I know Miss Kathy it was like a child for her. She took such pride. That place was clean as a whistle. She worried about the children. You know, I was once that little kid that was going into a food pantry, scared to death, not knowing. And if a kind lady handed me a little book or something, you know, that's what this community is about, and I believe we can get back there. I don't know firsthand why Aaron's Place took it over, but I know it's not, you can't bank on it. You can think you're gonna come on Tuesday from 10 to 1, and then there's a post on social media, they're not gonna be there. Well, what about the family that was counting on them for dinner that night? Or the kids coming home from school, and school meal is the only hot meal they have all day. Again, Mr. Bill, you are so correct. In the United States of America, our children should not be going to bed hungry.
Thank you. So this question is again for everyone, so we'll start the rotation again with Bill. The question is, town events often rely on volunteer support. How do you see yourself contributing to these events if elected?
There's only so much time in the day. We all have to prioritize what we can do versus what we want to do. I'm involved in a number of different nonprofit organizations now. They're important to me, but I feel that as part of the town, as a member of the town, over the years I have donated time, finances, support in whatever way I can to volunteering to do things. I know this is a surprise to all of you, but I am not as spry as I used to be. And some of you might be able to relate to that just a tad. But I do know that I have a heart for those things that need to get done, and I am not afraid to get my hands dirty and do the work. I've done that all my life. So as projects come up that need volunteer help, I expect that I'll be there just the same as everybody else is. Can I do as much as Mike Nan can in lifting up heavy stuff and moving things around? I probably can't, but I know how to pitch in, and I do know how to get other people to help. And I think that's a good skill to have too, is when you can get other people that are willing to come and help.
So I will echo Mr. Billings, there's only so many hours in a day. I have a super busy schedule with running my own small business single-handedly, and then taking on all the town stuff that I have for a great deal of time, and I'm sure that's going to amplify moving forward. However, I do have a heart for the community, and I do have a heart to engage with the residents. So I would like to see whoever ends up on council be on a rotation of sorts to volunteer at the public events. So it's not the same people all the time. I feel like it would be fair for a rotation to happen, unless somebody wants to volunteer for every single event. But that would be my idea.
I think it's very important that people know who to contact in order to volunteer. You know, it's one thing we come to a town meeting and there's 6 people, and our council or Christina or Mr. Bill for the Historical Society, we need help, we need volunteers, but then it doesn't leave that building that night. So people need to know, what do you need? What time do we need to be there? What do I need to bring? Again, I work outside of my home, but my job is very busy as well. But with enough notice, I can be wherever I need to be. I have an SUV, so I can put boxes in and move from one building to another. Just again, put the information out there so that we know where to go, who to ask for, and what time to be there.
I support all the town events that are family oriented. So I like the fishing derby, I like the one where the kids go and play on the equipment, the trucks and stuff to that effect. The car show is a great thing for the basketball program, and I do support that. It's a good fundraiser. I just don't like going to events that the town has their name on where alcohol is sold. I don't think it's a family event if you're gonna have people drinking beer. You know, I can drink 1 or 2 beers and be sociable. I can drink 5 or 6 and be an ass. I've seen you do it. So I just don't think that if you're going to have events that the town's going to have their name on, that there should be alcohol sold. I think if it's a family event, it should be a family event. And I support them, and I support the programs that they support. But that's the only issue I have with town events. I just don't like the ones around town. So.
Thank you, everyone. Paula, this question is for you, but everyone else will have a chance to provide a response with your 90 seconds if you wish.
Yes, I'm single.
That might be on the back. Paula, convince me why I should vote for you. What are your qualifications? What have you yourself done for Greensboro?
What I have done for Greensboro is show up where I'm needed. To be honest with you, when I first moved here, my youngest daughter was in her senior year of high school, so that kept us very busy. Let's see, I maintain my property, I pay my bills on time. I ask, can I help if there is if volunteer is needed? I help my neighbor. You know, if I'm asked, I show up. My qualifications are, my biggest one is the willingness to learn. I don't think nobody up here has the answers to all of the problems because they didn't happen overnight, so they're not going to get fixed overnight. I believe that as a community, we can come together. I'm willing to learn it. I have investment experience. I work for one of the top investment firms in the country, so I understand that world. I come from banking. I'm fingerprinted with the FBI because I handled hundreds of thousands of dollars, and now I hold 3 licenses in 2 different states to sell and manage insurance for people. I understand time management.
If anyone else on the panel wants to answer that question, you may, you do not have to. The question was basically convince me to vote for you.
Well, I mean, a big part of the discussion here tonight is the overall finance of this town, where I have 30 years experience, including my own financial-based business. I've been a finance manager, I'm a bookkeeper, I sit on a finance council for one of my clients. I love creating spreadsheets. I love being transparent. And I feel like everybody has the right to know. If you're paying into something, you have a right to know what you're paying into. And even if we can't come to a common ground on the amount that you're paying, at least it can be explained to you why you're paying that amount. So that's where my focus is explaining things to where people can understand.
Well, our timer is going to need new fingers by the end of the meeting, but I think the question is, what have we done and what will we do?
What are your qualifications? What have you yourself done for Greensboro?
I've gone to a lot of town meetings, a lot. I've volunteered to do work in the town when they needed. I've worked fishing derby, like pizza. That's one of the events that I think is really fascinating and good. A lot of kids come to that and have a good time and enjoy doing that. My qualifications are, I have been in business for most of my career, both in banking and hospital administration. I know how things are supposed to work, and I think that I have a good sense of how to get those to that point of how they're supposed to work. I do work well with other people. I listen pretty good, I believe. I try. I'm not afraid to work hard. I've done that my entire life. I work a part-time job now and have outside works that I do that take quite a bit of study time. So I'm willing to get my hands dirty. I volunteer for many things through the town. I know how to work budgets. I don't like working with budgets particularly, but I do know, I understand how they work and understand how to ask the right questions. And I think sometimes asking the right questions is more important than just about anything.
So the question was, why should you vote for me and what have I done for the town of Greensboro?
What are your qualifications? Convince me why I should vote for you. And what have you yourself done for Greensboro?
Okay. Well, I'm currently a town commissioner, and I'd like to strive to continue to see things move forward and improve the infrastructure, the transparency, and the other things. As to what I've done for Greensboro, I'm a lifetime member of the volunteer fire department. Started there in 1981, and up until recently was active. I'm not an active member now, I'm a lifetime member. But now that I'm retired, I may become a active member again and just drive. I'm too old to put on an air packing when you can do that stuff that Phil put, that Mike Mann can still do, lift the heavy objects and stuff. But no, I mean, I've lived here all of my adult life. And this is home, so whatever it takes to keep it comfortable and keep it safe, I'm gonna do it. I help my neighbor, whether I like them or not. But I mean, it's just the way it is. It's the way town's always been. If somebody's got a problem, you try to help them. But we need to communicate those problems as well. I mean, Social media is great, but I don't follow social media. It frustrates me. I have enough gray hair, I don't really think that's frustration. So, but
Thank you. This next question is for both Kim and Paula, so we'll start with Kim this time. What is your experience with group decision-making and your approach to handling controversial and complicated issues that come before the council? I'm happy to repeat anytime.
So as I just stated previously, I'm already on a finance council for a client, so I'm used to hearing the different perspectives from the different expertise of what makes up that council and taking what they have to say under advisement, as well as doing my own research to confirm that I can trust that information. I am not one that just blindly leads anyone. I like to learn things for myself and research it probably to death. What was the second part?
That's okay. Your experience with group decision-making, your approach to handling controversial and complicated issues that come before the council.
I mean, as far as the conflict goes, that's gonna arise no matter what situation you pretty much find yourself in life. I like to say that I'm cool, calm, collected, and really think things through before I speak on them. So very introspective. I have a lot of introspective. And I like to approach things with trying to think of what someone else's perspective might be, even if they're not portraying it to me to where I can understand. And then ask questions to clarify.
Do you want me to repeat the question?
Sure.
Okay. What's your experience with group decision-making, and what's your approach to handling controversial and complicated issues that come before the council?
And there has been quite a few come up in front of the council as I've been attending meetings for the last couple of years. Again, ask the hard questions, get all of the information. The nonprofit that I volunteered with for close to 18 years, I helped build policy and procedure, and it was for the group, what was best fit for the group. Again, collecting all of the information, making sure that we serve the many, not just a few. Again, collecting the information, letting people feel comfortable enough to approach and to give us the information. No retaliation if you say something that I don't agree with. I'll be open-minded enough to listen to it. If there's something I don't know, I'll find the answer. I'll do my own investigation. I'll do my own research. I'll reach out to people that maybe have experience with that and be able to bring it back to our council. And controversial, let's hope we don't go there. But again, calm, cool, collected, gather all the information. Nothing good comes from just half the truth.
Bill and Pete, you have a chance to also answer the question if you'd like.
Musical microphone.
yeah, it's number one.
Almost any town decision, big decision, whether it's town, county, state, workplace, doesn't really matter. Very few of those are made by fiat. You just can't say, we're doing this and be done. That's not typical. They're made in a group. I think one of the main things is to make sure you have great players in the group to get the best sense of proportion of the problem and the best solution to the problem. Building consensus is critical when you're in a group setting to get people, we may not all agree, but we can come to a consensus of what the solution to the problem is, and I think it's important to do. We're not all going to agree every single time. not calm, cool, and collected. I think I'm cool, my granddaughter doesn't, but I get passionate about certain things that are important, not only to me but to the town, and I think it's good to get passionate about some things. But as soon as you start to get hard-headed and mired down in your own ideas, you've lost already, and so you have to keep an open mind and be receptive and be a good listener if you don't do anything else. In life in general, be a good listener.
Being on the town council, group decision making is basically what the town council is. We sit there with 5 different perspectives, 5 different points of view. We have to respect one another as a team and listen to each other. We're not always going to agree. There's days where it's going to be difficult to agree to disagree. But in the end, you have to think about what's in the best interest for the town, the citizens in the town, and the overall sustainability of the town. So the most important thing is to listen, to understand the other perspectives that people bring to it. I mean, I've worked for government most of my life in different aspects, helping people and stuff. I can bring that type of stuff to it. Christina, for example, her line of work is a totally different perspective. David was in law enforcement. Bobby's in commercial heating and air. I mean, we all bring something different. We all represent a different median within the town. And I think those perspectives all have to be viewed, listened to, and we all try to contribute to come up with a common answer that best serves everybody. But we're not always going to.
Thank you. This question is for everyone, so we'll just start, Pete, with you since you have the microphone and go down the line. The question is, what would be your highest priority after you take office?
Well, they just gave me a new chair, so I want to make sure I get to keep it. That would be the first thing. But the highest priority would be to get the council back on focus. There's going to be new members because Christina did not seek re-election, so there'll be one new team player. And we just need to get focused, get back into educating each other on what's going on. And then we're still dealing with some local issues as far as rubbish, trash, appearances, what properties look like, cleaning up some of the other property that's abandoned. So we have a lot of things to do, but cold weather's coming. So we need to strongly support the cold and winter clothing drive that the town does. We have a lot of people, we have homeless people in town. It's a shame to say that, but we do. And we need to try to focus on them before the cold weather hits. But all in all, we need to do, keep business going as usual, keep improving the infrastructure, keep fostering the growth and development of the employees. By doing that, we get a stronger workforce. With a stronger workforce, we get a more dedicated workforce. And I think that's very important because the guys we have working for us do give a lot for very little money, actually.
What would be your highest priority after you take office?
Well, as I said in my opening statement, I have 7. There were 16 altogether when I asked people at the park what their biggest concerns were. But first and foremost, it would be to get to know my constituents, dive into where we are at this moment. Cindy has only been with us for 4 months. Wow, I'm flies and you're having fun, huh? So remembering that a lot of all of what has gone wrong, you know, she's drinking out of a fire hose. And, you know, thank you for stepping up to the challenge. I definitely want to understand more of how I can help the employees Because like Pete said, we want to make sure that they have what they need to succeed, not just professionally, but also personally. Because when you take pride in your job and what you do, and if you like that sense of helping someone, it's not a job. You enjoy going into work every day and helping people. That's what my job entails, actually.
So my number one priority, I mean, in any good working, solid relationship, you have to get to know the people that you're working with. Especially in order to make leadway, figure out kind of where people's perspectives fall, what their strengths, what their weaknesses are, where you can pitch in, where someone may be weak, where you can back off a little bit if somebody else has a bigger strength. So I would want to get to know that first. Then I'm really curious about the infrastructure of the town and what kind of shape that's in. I've heard conflicting things. Sometimes I've heard that it's in pretty decent shape. Sometimes I've heard that it's fallen apart. So I would be really interested to know that so that we can revisit water sewer bill rates and how they could be adjusted, if they can be adjusted, and building up that reserve while not taking the residents broke. So that's pretty much my top priority.
Could start now and get a few extra seconds. My first priority would be to learn the job. I don't know what the commissioners do, how they do it, how they get their information, where they seek their information, where they get their problems from, whether it be county, state, residents. I need to learn better that as far as how the town is and the shape of the town. I've lived in the town, I've lived here for a very long time. I love my town. I'm glad to live here. I will probably die here. Get buried out behind my house in the cemetery. My neighbors back there are very quiet and quite enjoyable. But I think I need to learn the job first, and that's going to take some time. I don't know how much time, but I already know most of the people in the town, people that come to the town meetings or associated with the town meetings that are on commission positions. I know them fairly well, not as well as I would like to, but I know some of their interests, some of their likes, some of their dislikes. And I'm willing to learn what things need to be prioritized. I do think our roads and our infrastructure, which is so easy to say because infrastructure covers a lot of ground, but I do think it's important that we understand what shape we're in. And that would be my big priority, is to understand where we are, but most to understand how the job works and what I'm supposed to do.
Great, thank you. This next question is for everyone, so can you go ahead and start since you have the microphone? Do you understand that a council member's role is strictly legislative and not administrative? And so through this question, I guess I would invite you to comment on what you also what you think the council member's role would be. So the question is, do you understand that the council's role is strictly legislative and not administrative?
Kind of funny that you ask, because I actually printed out, because I wanted to make sure that the audience knows what a commissioner's job is. So I'll read this, something I took note of. Town commissioner is an elected official along with other commissioners serving on a governing board responsible for running the town. This system of local governance, called a commission plan, combines legislative and executive functions into a single body. This differs from a mayor-council system where powers are more distinctly separated. So duties and powers: create and enforce local laws, manage town departments, approve the budget, represent the citizens, promote public welfare, and then it just goes on to the election and structure. So yes, I have familiarized myself between what a commissioner's job is in a legislative body versus an admin.
Bigger story yet? I understand what the commissioner's role is. What I don't understand is how that role gets accomplished, how they get the information, how it's fed to them. I understand, I think the distinctions between the town manager and the mayor and the commissioners, I've got that, I'm pretty sure. But what I'm not confident of, but we'll get that way quickly, is how does information flow? How do we get input, not only from the town manager, which I think should be, in my opinion anyway, one of the main sources of a lot of data and information so that decisions can be made properly. And it cannot happen the night of the meeting. And I've seen that over the years a lot, and that's been something that's hurt us badly. And it's a fact. I'm not trying to condemn anybody or cast any aspersion, but it is not, we should not make decisions on the spur of the moment. And that's what I want to learn. And I've understood that information is gotten earlier so that people have time to read and study what is going to be coming up in the meeting, and so decisions are getting made more intelligently. I will vote on something that I don't understand. I don't like abstaining, I just don't, but sometimes you have to do that if you don't understand.
Okay, yes, I also understand. Legislative, I'm gonna be given information, I'm gonna have to make a decision that I feel is best for all, not just what's gonna be best for me, or what's gonna be best for my street, my neighbor. As a lot, what, 900 people live in 2,000 people or something? 2,100 now people live in this town. And I want to make sure that, again, in my opening speech, when we're making decisions, it's done. We don't have to come back to it because, oh, I didn't know I voted that in, or, oh, I'm not sure. Ask the questions. If our town hall meetings have to go an hour and a half to 2 hours, I'm okay with that. As long as I can sleep at night knowing that the decisions I make for you don't injure you, your home, your family, your livelihood. Administrative, story of my life. You're gonna see me take notes. You're gonna see me take lots of notes. Great, I mean, I have empty paper here now ready to take notes for when we break. But I totally understand the commitment that that seat will need. The commitment, the attention to detail.
So I understand the last 2 years were a learning experience for me. The new infrastructure that we have in place, we get our information, we are the legislative body, so we get our information, we're able to review it, read it, study it, ask questions about it, so that when we get to the meetings, we can have good discussions and change in past rules or legislation as it needs to be passed. We can also make informed decisions. I do, as with Bill, I'm not going to vote on anything that I'm not comfortable with or don't feel will. And I'll be the first guy to have the heated discussion with somebody. But in the end, if we agree to disagree, I'll be the guy that wins that. I mean, I've done it. I do believe in sticking to your personal values, your personal morals. That's why the people elected you to be there. They elected you as the person to go up there and represent them. And I think that you bring all that to the table. And that's a factor that's made in your decision making. So, but as the town manager runs the town day to day with the oversight of the mayor, we're the legislative body that makes the rules they follow and we as taxpayers follow.
Great, thank you. This question is for Paula and Kim, so we'll start this time with Paula. You both have made it clear about your mistrust and dislike of the mayor and council. if elected, how do you plan to work side by side with them for the betterment of the town?
First and foremost, let's clear the air. It's decisions that have been made by past mayor, council. I don't know them personally. When my daughter was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer, I was referred to Miss Kathy Spencer because her and Dave lost a son due to cancer. And I would go to the food bank and talk with her, and she understood me. She understood what I was going through. I just completely lost my train of thought.
Welcome to the elbow.
The question is, if elected, how do you plan to work side by side with
Again,
folks on the
it is
council?
putting the past in the past, starting fresh. I don't hold grudges, even though I'm 64% Irish. But it's a clean slate. That's what we have to do. And again, making sure that the same mistakes, the same bad decisions aren't made repeatedly. And that the generations or the next person that comes sit in the seat is having to review it again. We get the charter updated so that if there's a question of something, we know where to go back and look, and we have the information. We know when it was passed, and do we need to do something to change that because it doesn't work in 2030.
Well, you took the words right out of my mouth. I don't know any of these people personally. I don't have any kind of ill will toward them. I do feel some of the decisions were very poorly made. I feel like the transparency has definitely been an issue. However, I'm a very outspoken person, so I am not easily offended. I can dish it out and I can take it. And that makes me easy to work with, really, because you might have made me mad 1 second, but if anything, I might listen to you harder the next second, just because I want to hear what you have to say. So, I don't have a problem working with people as long as I'm heard, I'm respected, and we're on the same mission for our town and the betterment of that. Other than that, I don't have personal issues with anybody that's currently on the council, so I don't see a problem working with them in the future.
Bill or Pete, if you would like to talk about that. This question is for everyone. Let's see. Bill or Pete can start this off based on my tallying up here. The question is, how can one who flies a Confederate flag represent all citizens without bias?
I don't think that's a question pertinent to this meeting tonight. I don't see its relevance at all, so that's my comment.
Personally, I feel like we live in a land of the free, and we are free to express our beliefs, and what our beliefs are may not reflect the beliefs of others in origination or in current day. There's a vast difference between the two, but I will agree with Mr. Bill that it's not pertinent to this position or this meeting.
I will pass this question as well. I don't bring a Confederate flag.
Well, I don't think it's really something that should be discussed here, but everybody does have a First Amendment constitutional right to express themselves. They just can't do it in such a manner that it incites a riot or blocks public thoroughfare. So if they're exercising it on their own property, there's not much I can really do or say about it. Can't regulate it, so there's really no point.
Thank you. This question's for everyone. I think Pete gets the microphone first on this one. Has the town thought about a youth center or club for the kids in town? And through this question, I invite you to talk about anything that you want to let the folks know about your ideas or thoughts about how to engage youth in the community.
There hasn't really been a discussion since I've been on the council about a youth center.
Sorry, Pete, do you mind just pulling your microphone a little closer?
Yeah, I do hate it. So there hasn't really been any discussion about a youth center per se since I've been on the council. I know in the past, there's been several comments. At one point, there was going to be a development out by the cemetery, and they were going to have a bowling alley and other places for kids to hang out. There's conversations about pool halls. We've had several in town over the years. I don't have a problem with anything to keep the youth occupied that's legal and safe and well managed. And it has to be well managed because we have seen in the past when I was in law enforcement, we had a beautiful pool hall, management changed, windows got painted, stolen auto parts were being sold out the back. So that type of stuff, those environments invite all types. So you'll get your drug dealers, you'll get all types of people there. So it needs to be managed and regulated, but I do agree that the youth just wandering the street, they're too old for the playground. There does need to be something for them to do, or to be active in. Or we're just asking for future problems.
Keep going down the line.
You can speak.
Okay.
My brain cycle is too much. Yeah.
Mr. Bill?
You can answer, it's okay.
Okay. I do know at one time, another resident of this town, who's not here with us this evening, he went around and got over, I don't even know how many signatures for a community pool. He did all, like swimming pool. He did the research on how much it would cost to build, to maintain, had a whole plan. I really wish he was here this evening to be able to tell us about that. You know, I grew up in the 80s, and when the sun came up on Saturday morning, you were out the door and you didn't come back. You had to be back in the house by the time the streetlights came on. Recently, the knock and run has been going around, and that happens at my house, and it's just bored kids. I don't know what the fix is. We have a basketball team for our youth. We do need to look into other areas, things for our kids to do. When you get to high school, you need community service hours. Is that something that we could bring the kids in there?
So having teens in the house for a while, this was definitely something that I took into consideration. I tossed around. I would have loved to have seen like a arcade or something open for the kids. We do have the drive-in theater here that I feel like could be more utilized. The problem is that we are in a different day and age, and unless parents are supervising their children and bringing them to a facility provided for them, we run into kids breaking things, constant repairs, not respecting the property. I would love to see them have more entertainment, but I'm not quite sure what the answer is for the liability, especially to the town. We are also in a day and age where everybody's too happy. So the kids show up to a facility for some kind of entertainment, they're horsing around, they get hurt, where does that lead us? So there's a lot to consider, but there definitely needs to be parental involvement for anything child-related from my perspective.
I'd like to have a swimming pool, movie theater, bowling alley, dance hall, pool hall. All those things would be great. But before we can do all that, we've got to come up with some money. We've got to come up with some supervision. What we really need is some social change in how, when I was growing up, I know times are different. Believe me, I know that more than probably some of you might think. but we found ways to entertain ourselves. We played ball a lot. There's a lot of ball players in Caroline County and from Greensboro. We found things to do that weren't destructive, that weren't going to hurt somebody else. That's a social issue that I don't have a good answer for you around. Sure, all those things would be nice to have, and we would have kids come to them for a while until they got bored with that, and then there'd be something else. So I don't know that things are the answer to that. I don't know that a youth hall, as nice as that sounds, would be the answer. We've had all of those things, and look where we are now. So I think it's a matter of people coming together in unified groups and talking in small groups about what can we do. But I'm not sure that entertaining the young people is our biggest priority right now. I just don't see that being feasible and being workable.
Great, thank you. This question's for everyone. Ms. Bill, since you have the microphone, you can start. The question is, have you ever had any run-ins with law enforcement? If yes, how can you assure residents that you will uphold the highest ethical standards?
Can you define what you mean by run-ins?
I,
That's a serious question.
right. I'm just reading you the question. I think you can interpret what you would like to, but also do not maybe admit to crimes. So you can decide. Fresh out of law school, folks. You can decide what a run-in with law enforcement is and what you would like to disclose. And if you have had that, how can you assure residents you will uphold the highest ethical standards?
I believe in the Lord Jesus Christ as my Savior, and He sets my standards. And that does not include having run-ins with the police. I support the police. I believe they're necessary. I believe we should support them more than we do, not just with our mouths. But no, I've never had run-ins with the police other than a speeding ticket once or twice. That long ago in my wayward youth. But I'm a big fan of good police officers. But there are some police officers that are not so good. And I'm not a big fan of them. But no, never had run-ins with the law. You can count on me being ethical. I have a higher calling than a police officer. That guides my life.
Same, never had run-in with the law. I'm not cut out for jail. Had one incident actually the day of my father's funeral. My lovely neighbor had the sheriff serve my husband and I for malicious destruction of property, for cleaning the pillar to our community off, which is in easement. So I had to spend $1,500 fighting her in court. But other than that, no, I haven't had any run-ins with, I get along with everybody. I've never had any kind of issue.
I was a juvenile and it was sealed. I 100% support our Greensboro Police Department. I have a list of active and retired Maryland State Police officers in my family, Baltimore City detectives. I was too scared to do anything wrong because my parents' best friend was a Kent County deputy sheriff, and he used to pop in and check on us when they knew that like mom and dad were out for the evening. He knew where the key was. So plus back then, I was scared to get my tail beat by neighbors, not even my parents. Back then there was a village that could do that to you.
I have no documented run-ins with the police. I do support the police. I was brought up in a different environment, Irish Catholic family, and everybody was held accountable for their own actions. Didn't matter what you did, you were held accountable. And it was a different definition of community policing, because if Larry's mom saw us doing something uptown, Larry's mom disciplined us. And then when we got home, we got disciplined because Miss Dorothy called home. It was a different world, but no, I totally respect the police, I respect the laws, I don't always agree with them. But I do respect the police, the laws, and I support the people that do that. It's the way I was brought up, and I already know from personal experience how to live in Orange.
Thank you. This next question is for everyone. Are there any areas where you believe the town is overspending or underfunding that you don't believe have been discussed in the past 6 months? And I've lost track of my tally, so whoever has the mic.
Mr. Bill started last time.
Okay, thanks. So, there we go.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yes. Are there any areas where you believe the town is overspending or underfunding that you don't believe have been discussed in the past 6 months?
Not that I'm aware of. Over the last 6 months, we've had a lot of issues with broken sewer lines and other issues, but all that spending, although above the budget line item, has all been openly discussed. Underfunding, I would love to find money to support the food pantry and other programs, but we don't have that kind of funding. The food pantry has always been Aaron's place. We were just a subsidiary. And Miss Kathy and Amanda, and then they really kept the place running, they kept it well stocked. I wish we had the money to do something better. But that hasn't been discussed, but no, not that I can think of.
Sure.
You want me to know?
It's okay, just
Okay.
answer. Sorry.
I am not privy to the books of this town. You know, what I do know is in the past 4 months, the audits that have been done that we as residents have brought up, Cindy has looked into. She's done a very thorough job, and she has found where things were being paid for that weren't being used. You know, she was able to filter out, and that money was used to catch us up on some other things that had been broken down. And, you know, really the reason that I decided to run for council, especially now, has nothing to do with town hall now. I'm at a point in my life where I have the time to dedicate to my community, and I want to learn more, I want to be a part of more, and I feel that there is much better leadership and management going on to where I really, in my heart of hearts, feel that together we can come out of this and wipe our hands of the past and learn from it.
So I send a lot of PIAs, ask Cindy. I'm always asking about stuff. Currently, I've started looking into the ARPA fund usage. Cindy's providing me a lot of information that I haven't had the time to sit down and go through, but I plan to do that. I know we did find, or Cindy found one area that was misappropriated because the project never happened, and was able to make that up on another project that could have been used for ARPA funds. But I just wanted to do a complete audit on the ARPA funds to ensure there were no other instances, and I know Cindy as well is looking into that. So it's kind of 2 sets of eyes on that information. So we'll see what we come up with. Maybe ask me in 6 more months what we found.
All fraud and abuse, easy words to say. I don't know of any area right now where we're overspending. Some of the control of overspending is just lack of money. If you have a lot of extra money laying around, I guess it's easier to overspend it, just like in our own personal budgets. But I'm not aware of that at this point in time. My plan as a commissioner would be to make sure that I'm keeping abreast of what we spend our money on. Did we get the best bang for our dollar? Was there a better way? Did we need to spend the money? Those are the types of questions I think rightfully should be being asked and are getting good answers now. So I'm not aware of where we're overspending at this point in time. I'm not aware of where we're underspending because we don't have things doesn't mean we're underspending. You only have so much money. And when that runs out, just like in your household budget, what do? You stop spending. And that's what the town has to do when they can. Unfortunately, our strings are pulled oftentimes by things outside of our control that we do have to spend on, whether we like it or not. And we need to come to grips with that.
Great, thank you. This will be the last question that I ask of the council. I am not sure what the plan is for the questions that haven't been asked, but that may come up later. I'm going to ask the question, these folks will answer, then there'll be about a half an hour of open networking where the candidates will come out from behind the table and mix and mingle. At 8:45, the candidates will then deliver their closing statements. So this question is for everyone, and let's start with Kim. How can we ensure that what you share on social media as an elected official is accurate and responsible? And again, this question's for everyone.
I pretty much answered this earlier. I would not ever post information that is unsubstantiated, and I've actually asked other members of the page to not post secondhand information that can't be substantiated. During involvement with the town, we get a flood of information constantly. Some of it may be people with vendettas just trying to start rumors. We understand that. There's much bigger fish to fry for this town than just spreading gossip and rumors. I try to keep everything factual, and if I can, I'll post supporting documents, which is probably 98% of the time. I post a supporting document to go along with my post, so that you know what I'm saying is accurate. If I were to post something that's not 100%, I'll come back and put an edit on it and say, I was mistaken, this isn't what it appeared to be. But usually I'm pretty good about checking and double checking my facts.
Mr. Bill.
I don't post a lot on social media. I have found over the years, especially recently, that there's too much junk on social media. People like to get stirred up somehow or another. I think we feel we need that rush. I don't need that rush. So I don't post very often on social media. I don't care to. I look at it sometimes and I read it. A lot of it goes in here and out here because it's not worth the effort. A lot of them I don't even finish reading because they're just not worth my time. I don't have so much time, just like you. So I don't post a lot. If I do post, I make sure that what I'm saying I believe in and that's right. And if you don't like it or don't agree with it, that's certainly your privilege to do. That's okay. I'm not real easily offended, but I don't like personal attacks, and I will come at you pretty hard over that if you don't do it anonymously.
My personal Facebook page is my grandkids and my puppy. You're not gonna find, oh, and my daughter's trying to sell some furniture right now. As for, you know, talk of the town, our Truth Social, of late, probably the past 8 to 10 months, I do more reading on there. I come to the meetings, I get my information firsthand, you know, from our website, sending emails, call, you know, whatever I need to do to get my information. I don't purposely set out to injure or harm anyone. And if elected and if I get a seat up there, it's possible that my social media will disappear. Because I don't want to take the chance of someone misreading something I post, try to sway me, anything like that. I'm gonna make decisions off of the information that's provided. But if you are friends with Paula Turner on Facebook, you will see my new grandbaby quite a bit, and my crazy puppy. And if anybody wants to buy some furniture, check it out. It's really nice stuff.
Well, posting on social media is real easy for me, because usually if you look, it's gonna say the Irish just won. I really don't post anything on there. I occasionally share something or whatever, but I don't post on social media unless Notre Dame wins. That's pretty much it. I'm just not big on social media. It's nice to share information on social media, but you can't guarantee that the information you're reading is actually true. Most of it's people's opinions or perspectives, so I just don't buy into it. So my Facebook page has a good home. It's based on that.
Great, thank you very much. Thank you to all the candidates for coming out tonight and for throwing your hat in the ring for civic engagement. And thank you all for the incredible questions. I think you asked some really good questions and a diversity of topics. Again, we'll have about a half an hour. There's still some snacks and water to mix and mingle. If your question didn't get asked and you want to ask anyone, please feel free. And at 8:45, we'll have closing statements. Thanks for sticking around to hear what your candidates have to say. Each candidate is going to have 3 minutes for their closing statement. And since we started with Bill in the beginning, we're going to start with Pete at the end here. So our timer will time you for your 3 minutes. And then
Can you hear me? I really don't have a lot to say. We really don't even need the time. I want to thank everybody for coming out here. Hopefully you think I've been doing a good job on the council. And if you do, I really hope you'll vote for me again to keep me there. I'd like to finish some of the things I've started. It's a learning process. It's not something where you get elected, you get sworn in the Thursday after the election, and all of a sudden you're making decisions. There's a lot of reading, a lot of research. There's a lot of things that have to be done. And once you learn the process, things flow a little easier and you get your little niche. But I think I'm doing a good job. I think some of the changes that have been made are positive, and I'd like to see things keep moving forward. So, thank you.
I don't think I'm going to 10 minutes either. I come prepared, I told you I take notes. Thank you everyone that's still here, and thank you to you out there that have already gone home. Thank you for spending your time with us this evening. I've truly enjoyed hearing your ideas, concerns, and hopes for our town. I'm running for the town council because I believe in community, where your voice matters, where we live with integrity, and where we work together to solve the issues that impact us all. Whether it's improving infrastructure, ensuring transparency, supporting local businesses, or protecting what makes our neighborhood so special. I promise to bring a Accessible leadership. You don't have to wait for an election to reach me. I want to be someone you can talk to, someone who listens, and someone who acts responsibly with your tax dollars and your trust. As we move forward, I invite you to stay involved, share your ideas, ask questions, and hold me accountable. Because when we work together as neighbors and partners, we build a town that works for everyone. Thank you again for being here, for your interest and your engagement and your hope for our future. I look forward to working with each of you. Have a great evening, and I hope I've earned your vote.
Thank you all for coming out tonight, spending your evening, midweek, almost past my bedtime with us. My days start early, they end late, but that's because I have a lot of passion for the things that I get involved in. So I will continue to keep the momentum that I have had this past year plus, asking all the questions, doing all the research. I know this is going to be a learning curve, and I'm not going to have all the answers immediately, but I can promise that if you have a question, that I will do the best to my ability to get an answer for you, and thoroughly explain why decisions are made, or on the contrary, if I do make it on council and I'm in the losing part of the vote, I will explain to you why I voted the way that I did, so that there's no questions. I'm not just going to go against the grain to go against the grain, but if I feel passionately about something, I'll explain that, so that it's very clear. Thank you all again.
I also want to thank all of you for turning out tonight. I think the biggest thing that makes a town, especially the size of Greensboro, successful is that citizens get involved and come to town meetings and come to events like this and do their part to help and to pitch in. It takes all of us to get things done. Just have a couple of things that I did want to say. One is I looked at this as a mission. This is why I decided to do this. And a mission requires at least 4 characteristics: direction, vision, organization, and prioritization. And I will do everything I can to bring those 4 things to bear as your town commissioner. I solicit your vote. I hope that you will be able to vote for me. My closing statement is this. It's from Psalms 133:1. It says, "Behold how good and pleasant it is when brothers and sisters dwell in unity." And that's what we need in our town. Thank you for listening. Thanks for coming tonight.
Thank you very much, everyone. Yeah, you can have this. Thank you to our candidates for coming out tonight and for stepping up to run for office. Thank you to all of you for your great questions. Just going to leave you with this. Please remember that voting day is Tuesday, November 4th, and the voting will be from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. at the town hall. And I did see on the town's Facebook page that they have an explanation of how the voting tallying process will go. So thank you again for coming.